You have 10 seconds to explain why you're in my home. The voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. It carried through the penthouse like a command the air itself obeyed. Lily Carter didn't answer. She couldn't. She was asleep, curled into the corner of a leather couch that probably cost more than anything she had ever owned, her damp jacket clinging to her shoulders, her fingers still wrapped tightly around a single crumpled $20 bill. Outside, 48 floors below, the city stretched in endless lines of light and motion, but up here, everything was still. Too still. Adrian Voss stood just inside the doorway, unmoving. Rain had followed him in, darkening the marble beneath his shoes, but he didn't notice. His attention was fixed entirely on the girl. Wrong place. Wrong time. Wrong human. That should have been the end of it. One command. One gesture. She would be gone. But he didn't move. Something in the room had shifted the moment he stepped inside. Subtle. Almost imperceptible. And yet unmistakable. He took a single step forward. The silence deepened. Lily shifted slightly in her sleep, her breath uneven, her brow faintly furrowed like she was still running even now. Running from something. Or someone. Adrian's gaze dropped to her hand. $20. That was all she had. He didn't need to guess. He could see it in the way her shoes were worn down at the heels, in the faint tremor in her fingers, in the exhaustion written into every line of her body. She didn't belong here. Not in this building. Not in this world. And yet, she was here. In his space. In the one place no one entered without permission. His jaw tightened slightly. "Sir," a voice murmured softly through the nearly invisible earpiece. Security flagged an anomaly. There was a breach in the private elevator system approximately 12 minutes ago. "We're tracing, stop." One word. Quiet. Final. Silence returned instantly. Adrian's eyes never left her. 12 minutes. That meant she hadn't been here long. She had come up the private elevator. Impossible. That system didn't malfunction. It was designed not to. Unless, his gaze flickered briefly toward the glass wall overlooking the city, reflection shifting faintly across it. Unless something else had allowed her in. Lily's fingers loosened slightly, the $20 bill slipping halfway from her grip. She murmured something under her breath. "Two. Softer here." Adrian stepped closer. Close enough now to see the faint line of rainwater tracing down her temple, disappearing into her hair. Close enough to hear the rhythm of her breathing. And then, his entire body went still. One beat. That was all it took. One single, impossible beat. His heart, something that had been silent for longer than most empires had existed, moved. Not out of hunger. Not out of instinct. But something else. Something older. Deeper. His eyes darkened. "Sir," the voice returned, more urgent now. "We have external movement. 3 individuals attempting to access the building perimeter. They appear to be searching for someone." Adrian's gaze sharpened. Searching. For her. Of course they were. Humans like her didn't end up in places like this without a reason. He looked back at her. At the way she had chosen the furthest corner of the couch, as if trying to make herself smaller. As if trying not to be seen. Even here. Even in a place she couldn't possibly understand. She hadn't touched anything. Hadn't taken anything. She had just stopped. Like her body had reached its limit and simply refused to go any further. Adrian exhaled slowly, though he didn't need to. Then, without looking away, he spoke. "Lock down the building." A pause. The city continued to glow beneath them. "No one comes in." Another pause. His voice dropped, colder now. "And no one leaves." Lily's eyes fluttered. Just barely. Her breathing hitched as consciousness began to pull her back. And for the first time in a very long time, Adrian Voss waited. Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first, like someone waking from a dream they were not ready to leave. The ceiling above her was unfamiliar. Too high. Too clean. For a moment, Lily Carter did not move. Then reality hit all at once. She sat up too fast, breath catching, fingers tightening instinctively around the $20 bill as if it were the only thing anchoring her to the world. This was not the street. Not the stairwell she had ducked into. Not any place she had ever been before. Her gaze snapped forward. And froze. He was standing there. Too still. Too composed. Watching her. Every instinct in her body went rigid. Do not move. Do not speak. Do not make this worse. The distance between them was no more than 10 feet, but it felt like something vast and unbridgeable stretched between them. Lily swallowed hard, her throat dry. I can explain, she said, her voice quieter than she intended, almost swallowed by the space around them. The man did not respond immediately. His eyes held hers, unblinking, as if weighing something far beyond her words. Then, slowly, he stepped closer. One step. That was all it took for the air to change again. Lily felt it. The temperature did not drop, not exactly, but something in the room tightened, like the moment before a storm breaks. You have already exceeded your 10 seconds, he said finally, his voice low, precise, every word placed exactly where it needed to be. Not raised. Not angry. That made it worse. Lily pushed herself off the couch, her legs unsteady beneath her. She held her hands up slightly, a reflex she did not even think about. I did not mean to come up here, she said quickly. I just needed somewhere to hide for a minute. I thought this was, I do not know, an empty unit or something. I was not going to take anything. Her eyes flickered around the room, as if searching for proof of her own innocence. Everything was untouched. Perfect. Like a place no one actually lived in. Except him. His gaze followed her movement briefly, then returned to her face. And yet, he said, you chose the one door in this building that does not open. Lily shook her head, confusion flashing across her features. It did open, she insisted softly. The elevator just stopped here. The doors opened and I walked out. I did not even realize where I was until her voice faltered. Until she could not take another step. Until her body had simply given up. Silence stretched between them again. Adrian watched her carefully. Every shift in her expression. Every breath. No deception. No calculation. Just exhaustion. Real. Unfiltered. Human. Someone is looking for you, he said after a moment. Lily went still. The change was immediate. Her shoulders tensed. Her fingers tightened again around the bill, crumpling it further. I do not know what you are talking about, she said quickly, but the words came too fast. Too practiced. Adrian tilted his head slightly, studying her. 3 individuals are currently attempting to access this building, he continued, his tone unchanged. They are not hereby. Coincidence. Lily's breath hitched. There it was. Confirmation. Whatever fragile composure she had managed to hold on to cracked just slightly. She looked toward the massive glass windows, the city lights stretching endlessly beyond them, then back at him. I just need a few minutes, she said, quieter now. Honest. Then I will leave. I will not cause any problems. I promise. Adrian did not answer. Instead, he closed the remaining distance between them. Now only a few feet apart. Close enough that she could see the unnatural stillness in him. Close enough to notice that something about him did not align with the world she knew. His eyes locked onto hers again. And for a second, something flickered there. Not anger. Not cruelty. Something far more dangerous. Recognition. You are not leaving, he said. Simple. Absolute. Lily's heart stuttered. I have to, she replied, fear slipping into her voice despite her effort to contain it. You do not understand. No, Adrian said quietly. You do not. A pause. Then softer, but no less final. Whatever you ran from has already followed you here. Lily stared at him, her pulse loud in her ears. Outside, somewhere far below, the city continued as if nothing had changed. But inside that penthouse, everything had. The word settled into the air like something final, something that could not be undone. Lily felt them before she fully understood them. Followed you here. Her chest tightened. No, she said quickly, almost instinctively, shaking her head as if that alone could make it untrue. They would not come here. They cannot even get past the front desk. Adrian did not respond. He simply watched her, and the silence itself felt like an answer. Lily's gaze flickered toward the door, then back to him. Her mind was racing now, trying to piece together something that made sense. This place. This man. The way everything felt just slightly off, like reality had shifted half an inch to the side. Who are you? She asked, the question slipping out before she could stop it. Adrian did not hesitate this time. Someone who does not like being lied to, he said. Lily flinched, not because of the words, but because of how easily he saw through her. She looked away, her fingers loosening around the $20 bill before tightening again, as if she needed something physical to hold on to. I am not lying, she said more quietly now. I cannot explain it in a way that makes sense. Try, Adrian said. The single word carried weight. Not a demand. Not quite. But close enough that it did not feel like a choice. Lily hesitated. Seconds passed. Then she exhaled slowly, her shoulders dropping just a fraction. I worked at a place downtown, she began, her voice steadying as she spoke. Late shifts. Nothing special. I kept my head down, did my job, went home. That was it. Her eyes flickered up to his, searching, measuring. He gave nothing away. So she continued. Tonight, something felt wrong. Before I even left. People I had never seen before. Watching. Not like customers. Not like normal people. She paused, swallowing. When I clocked out, one of them followed me outside. Then another. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, but her breath caught slightly. They did not stop. Adrian listened without interruption, his expression unreadable. So you ran, he said. Yes. The answer came immediately. No hesitation. And you chose this building. I did not choose it, Lily said, a hint of frustration breaking through now. I just needed somewhere with lights, somewhere open. I thought if I got inside, I could lose them. I saw the lobby, the elevator, and then I was here. Her voice softened again. I did not even know where here was. Adrian's gaze shifted slightly, as if considering something beyond her words. The elevator. The system did not fail. It could not fail. And yet it had brought her directly to him. Not to any other floor. Not to any other door. To this one. Lily took a small step back, the distance between them widening just enough for her to breathe a little easier. If they are really outside, she said carefully, then I need to go before they cause trouble for you too. Adrian's eyes returned to hers. Sharper now. You assume I am concerned about trouble, he said. Lily blinked, caught off guard by the calm certainty in his voice. Aren't you? She asked. For a moment, there was no answer. Then Adrian took a step toward the glass wall, his reflection stretching across the city lights beyond. They are not here for me, he said. And they would not dare come here for any reason other than you. Lily's stomach dropped. Hearing it said that way made it real in a way nothing else had. She looked down at her hands, at the wrinkled bill she had been holding onto like it could solve anything. It felt small now. Useless. I do not have anything they would want, she said, almost to herself. Adrian turned back to her slowly. His gaze moved over her again, more deliberate this time. Not her clothes. Not her posture. Something deeper. Something unseen. That, he said quietly, is where you are wrong. Lily looked up, confusion mixing with fear. Then what do they want? She asked. Adrian held her gaze for a long moment. And then, with a certainty that felt older than the city itself, he said, you. Silence followed. Heavy. Unavoidable. Lily's pulse pounded in her ears, each beat louder than the last. She took a step back without realizing it, her heel catching slightly against the edge of the rug. That does not make any sense, she whispered. Adrian did not move. It does not have to, he replied. It only has to be true. Outside, far below, a faint flicker of movement caught his attention. Subtle. But enough. They were getting closer. Lily saw the shift in his focus, saw the way his attention moved past her to something beyond the walls. What is it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper now. Adrian did not look away. They are not waiting anymore, he said. And this time, there was no mistaking it. Something was about to change. The shift was immediate. Lily felt it before she understood it. The air did not just grow tense this time, it sharpened, like something unseen had drawn a line through the space and everything on one side no longer belonged on the other. She followed Adrian's gaze toward the glass wall, her reflection faint against the endless grid of city lights below. What do you mean they are not waiting? She asked, her voice unsteady now despite her effort to control it. Adrian did not answer right away. His focus remained fixed beyond the glass, as if distance meant nothing, as if whatever moved below was as clear to him as if it stood in the room. They have changed their approach, he said finally, his tone quieter, more deliberate. They are no longer trying to enter unnoticed. Lily's stomach tightened. Then. What are they doing? Adrian turned back to her, and for the first time, there was something in his expression that had not been there before. Not fear. Never that. But something closer to interest sharpened by certainty. They are forcing the situation, he said. Lily shook her head, backing away another step without realizing it. That does not make sense. This is a secured building. There are cameras, guards, access codes. You said it yourself. I did, Adrian replied. And none of those things will stop them if they believe the outcome is worth it. The word settled heavily between them. Lily's mind raced, trying to find something logical to hold on to, something that explained why any of this was happening. I told you, she said, her voice tightening, I do not have anything. I am nobody. I work double shifts just to afford rent. I barely have enough to eat most weeks. Why would anyone risk something like this for me? Adrian stepped closer again, slow, controlled, each movement precise. Because what you are is not determined by what you believe you are, he said. Lily frowned, confusion deepening. That does not answer anything. No, he agreed softly. It does not. His gaze dropped briefly to her hand again, to the $20 bill she still held like it was the only thing that made sense. Then back to her eyes. But it will. Before Lily could respond, a soft chime echoed through the penthouse. Subtle. Almost elegant. But it cut through the moment like a blade. Adrian did not look toward the source. He already knew. They have reached the private access point, he said. Lily's breath caught. You said they could not get in. I said they would not, Adrian corrected calmly. There is a difference. The distinction did nothing to calm her. If anything, it made it worse. Then we need to call someone, she said quickly. Security. Police? Someone who can handle this. Adrian's lips curved just slightly, not quite a smile, but close enough to unsettle. That will not be necessary. Lily stared at him. How can you say that? She demanded, the fear in her voice no longer hidden. You do not even know who they are. I know enough, he said. The calm certainty in his voice clashed sharply with the rising tension in the room. Lily took another step back, her mind searching for an exit, for any option that did not involve staying here while something unknown closed in. Then I will leave, she said suddenly. If they want me, then I will go. That way this does not become your problem. Adrian moved faster than she expected. Not abruptly. Not aggressively. But suddenly he was between her and the door, the distance gone before she could react. Lily froze. Her breath stalled in her chest. He had not run. He had not lunged. He had simply been there. No, he said. One word. Final. Lily's pulse spiked. You cannot just decide that, she said, though her voice lacked conviction now. Adrian's gaze held hers, unwavering. I already have. Silence fell again, heavier than before. The chime sounded once more, softer this time, followed by a low hum that seemed to resonate through the walls themselves. Something in the building had changed. Systems shifting. Locks engaging. The entire structure responding to a single command. Lily felt it in the floor beneath her feet. What did you do? She whispered. Adrian did not look away from her. I ensured that this situation remains contained, he said. Lily shook her head slowly, disbelief and fear intertwining. Contained for who? Adrian's expression did not change. But his answer came without hesitation. For you. The word echoed in her mind, refusing to settle. For you. Not for him. Not for the building. For her. Lily's grip on the $20 bill loosened, and this time, it slipped completely from her hand, falling soundlessly onto the polished floor between them. She did not even notice. Outside, far below, the city continued its endless motion, unaware that something far more significant had just shifted high above it. And inside the penthouse, with every second that passed, the distance between who Lily thought she was and what she was becoming grew smaller. The sound of the bill hitting the floor should have been nothing. Too soft to matter. Too small to notice. But Adrian's gaze dropped to it instantly, as if that fragile piece of paper carried more weight than anything else in the room. Lily followed his eyes, her breath catching when she realized she had let it go. For a second, neither of them moved. Then Adrian bent down, slow and deliberate, and picked it up between two fingers. He studied it, turning it slightly as though it were something unfamiliar, something he had not seen in a very long time. This is what you ran with, he said quietly. Lily swallowed, nodding once. It is all I had. The admission felt heavier now, exposed in a space where everything around her spoke of wealth and control and permanence. Adrian looked at the bill for another second before stepping closer and holding it out to her. She hesitated, then took it back, her fingers brushing his for the briefest moment. The contact was accidental. Fleeting. But it changed something. Adrian's hand stilled midair, his expression shifting by a fraction too small for most to notice. Lily felt it too. Not pain. Not fear. Something else. A strange, almost electric awareness that lingered for a second longer than it should have. She pulled her hand back quickly, clutching the bill again as if it could erase whatever that moment had been. Adrian straightened slowly, his gaze returning to her face, sharper now, more focused. How long have you been feeling it? He asked. Lily blinked, caught off guard. Feeling what? The attention, he said. The sense that something is not right. That you are being watched. Lily hesitated, then looked away. A few weeks, she admitted quietly. At first, I thought I was imagining it. You know, stress, long hours, not sleeping enough. But then things started happening. Small things. Doors I was sure I locked would be open. Lights flickering when I walked into a room. People staring too long, like they were trying to recognize me. Her voice dropped further. Like they already knew me, even though I had never seen them before. Adrian listened without interruption, his expression unreadable, but his attention absolute. And tonight, he prompted. Lily's grip tightened again. Tonight it was different, she said. They did not pretend anymore. They just followed. Like they did not care if I noticed. The room fell silent again, but this time it felt heavier, more defined. Adrian turned slightly, his gaze drifting toward the door as if he could see through it, past it, down the entire height of the building. They are getting closer, he said. Lily's heart began to race again. Then why are you so calm, she asked, the question slipping out before she could stop it. If they are that dangerous, why are you just standing here? Adrian looked back at her, and this time, there was no distance in his gaze. Only certainty. Because they are not the most dangerous thing in this room, he said. Lily froze. The words did not make sense, but the way he said them made her chest tighten. What does that mean? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Adrian took a step closer again, closing the space between them until she could feel the quiet intensity of his presence without him needing to touch her. It means, he said slowly, that whatever they are looking for has already changed the moment you walked through that door. Lily shook her head, backing up until she felt the edge of the couch behind her legs. You keep talking like I am something, she said, her voice trembling now. I am not. I am just trying to survive. That is all I have ever been doing. Adrian's gaze did not waver. That is what makes it significant, he replied. You have been surviving something you do not even understand. Before Lily could respond, the low hum in the building shifted again, deeper this time, like a system reaching its limit. A faint vibration ran through the floor, subtle but unmistakable. Adrian's eyes flicked toward the door once more. They have reached the final barrier, he said. Lily's breath hitched. Barrier? Adrian did not explain. Instead, he moved past her, toward the center of the room, his posture straightening slightly as if preparing for something inevitable. Lily turned to follow him, her fear now fully present, impossible to hide. What happens when they get through? She asked. Adrian stopped, his back to her for a brief second before he turned his head just enough for his voice to carry clearly through the space. Then, he said calmly, they will realize they came to the wrong place. Lily stared at him, her pulse pounding, her mind struggling to keep up with everything unfolding around her. Outside, the city lights continued to flicker endlessly, indifferent to what was happening high above. But inside the penthouse, something had already shifted beyond return. And for the first time, Lily began to understand that running had not brought her to safety. It had brought her exactly where she was meant to be. The vibration beneath Lily's feet deepened, no longer subtle, no longer ignorable. It was not violent, not chaotic, but controlled, like a system straining against something just beyond its limits. She could feel it in the air, in the walls, in the quiet tension that wrapped around everything inside the penthouse. Adrian did not move away from the center of the room. He stood there as if the entire building revolved around him, his posture steady, his presence unshaken. Lily watched him, her breath uneven, her thoughts racing faster than she could organize them. You said they came to the wrong place, she said, her voice tighter now. What does that mean? Adrian did not answer immediately. His gaze lifted slightly, as if tracking something invisible beyond the ceiling, beyond the structure itself. Then, slowly, he spoke. It means they believe this is a place they can enter, he said. It is not. Lily shook her head, confusion and fear colliding. But they are already here. You said they reached the last barrier. Yes, Adrian replied calmly. They have reached it. A pause. Then quieter. They have not passed it. The distinction should have been reassuring. It was not. Because the way he said it did not sound like relief. It sounded like certainty before a storm. Another low tone echoed through the penthouse, deeper this time, followed by a brief flicker in the lights. Not darkness. Just a shift. Like the building itself had taken a breath. Lily instinctively stepped closer to him without realizing it, drawn by the only stable presence in the room. "How can you be so sure?" she asked. Adrian finally turned his head, his eyes meeting hers again. There was something different there now. Not just observation. Not just curiosity. Something sharper. More focused. "Because they are still trying to understand what they're dealing with," he said. Lily frowned. "And what is that?" Adrian held her gaze for a long second. "Me," he said simply. The word landed heavier than anything else he had said so far. Lily felt it settle somewhere deep in her chest, not fully understood, but impossible to ignore. Before she could respond, the sound changed. Not a vibration this time. A tone. Sharp. Precise. A system alert. Adrian's head tilted slightly, listening to something she could not hear. Then his expression shifted, just enough to matter. "They have made contact with the outer lock," he said. Lily's pulse spiked again. "And?" Adrian's eyes narrowed slightly. "And?" "They are no longer pretending to be cautious." The air tightened instantly. Lily wrapped her arms around herself, trying to steady the sudden rush of unease. "If they get through," she began, but her voice faltered. Adrian finished the thought for her. "They will not," he said. "Not a prediction. A fact." Lily looked at him, searching for doubt, for hesitation, for anything that suggested uncertainty. There was none. And somehow, that made it harder to breathe. "You keep saying that," she said, her voice softer now. "Like you know exactly how this ends." Adrian stepped closer again, stopping just in front of her. Close enough that she could feel the quiet intensity of his presence without him ever needing to raise his voice. "I do," he said. Lily's breath caught. "How?" Adrian did not answer right away. Instead, his gaze dropped slightly, not to her hands this time, not to the floor, but to something else. Something he was sensing rather than seeing. When he spoke again, his voice was lower, more deliberate. "Because this was never about them breaking in," he said. Lily blinked, trying to follow. "Then what is it about?" Adrian lifted his gaze back to hers. And for the first time, there was no distance left in it. No detachment. Only clarity. "It is about why you were brought here," he said. The word seemed to slow everything down. Lily felt it in the way her thoughts stumbled, in the way her pulse seemed too loud in her ears. "I was not brought here," she said, though the certainty in her voice was gone now. "I ran. I chose this place." Adrian shook his head once. "Small. Certain." "No," he said quietly. "You chose to run." A pause. Then softer. "But you did not choose where you would stop." Lily stared at him, something cold and unfamiliar settling into her chest. "Then who did?" she whispered. Adrian did not look away. "That," he said, "is what they are trying to find out." The tone in the building shifted again, sharper now, followed by a brief silence that felt heavier than the noise that came before it. Adrian's gaze flicked toward the door one last time. "They are testing the final lock," he said. Lily's heart pounded. "And if it fails?" Adrian's expression did not change. "It will not fail," he said. Then, after a brief pause, his voice dropped just enough to carry something deeper beneath it. "Because it was never designed to keep them out." Lily felt her breath stop. "Then what is it for?" she asked. Adrian's eyes returned to hers, steady, unwavering. "To keep something in," he said. Silence followed. Thick. Unavoidable. Lily stood there, her thoughts unraveling, her sense of reality shifting piece by piece. And for the first time since she had woken up in that room, she began to wonder if the thing being contained was not the people trying to get in, but her. The silence after his words did not fade. It thickened. It pressed in from all sides until Lily felt like even breathing too loudly might break something fragile and unseen. To keep something in. The phrase echoed in her mind, refusing to settle, refusing to make sense in any way that felt safe. She took a step back without realizing it, her hand brushing against the edge of the couch behind her as if she needed something solid to remind herself she was still here, still real. "You are saying this place is meant to trap something," she said slowly, her voice barely steady, "and you think that something is me." Adrian did not correct her. He did not soften the implication. He simply watched her, his gaze steady, unyielding. "I think," he said quietly, "that you are at the center of something you have not begun to understand." Lily shook her head again, more firmly this time, as if she could push the idea away by refusing it. "No. That is not possible. I am not connected to anything like this. I do not even know what this is." Her voice rose slightly, tension creeping in despite her effort to remain calm. "You are talking like there is some kind of plan, like something brought me here on purpose. That does not happen." Adrian took a slow step toward her, closing the space again with the same controlled precision that made it feel less like movement and more like inevitability. "It does," he said. Lily's breath hitched. "Not to people like me," she insisted, though the certainty she wanted was no longer there. "Especially to people like you," Adrian replied. The words landed harder than she expected. Lily looked away, her mind scrambling for anything that felt grounded, anything that reminded her of the life she understood. Small apartment. Late shifts. Counting tips just to make rent. That was real. That was her world. This was not. This could not be. But the room around her did not disappear. Adrian did not disappear. And the tension pressing against the walls did not fade. Another sound rippled through the penthouse, sharper this time, followed by a brief flicker of light along the far wall where a thin line of embedded systems glowed faintly before stabilizing again. Lily flinched slightly, her attention snapping toward it. "That does not sound like something holding," she said, fear threading clearly through her voice now. Adrian did not look concerned. If anything, his focus sharpened further. "It is holding exactly as it should," he said. Lily turned back to him, disbelief written across her face. "Then why does it feel like everything is about to break?" Adrian held her gaze, and for a moment, there was something almost like understanding there. Not shared fear, but acknowledgement. "Because something is trying very hard to change the outcome," he said. Lily's chest tightened again. "What outcome?" Adrian did not answer immediately. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, as if listening beyond the room once more. Then, slowly, he spoke. "The one where you leave this place as the same person who walked in." The words struck deeper than anything else he had said. Lily felt them settle somewhere she could not reach, somewhere she did not want to examine too closely. "I am the same person," she said, her voice softer now, almost uncertain. Adrian did not respond to that directly. Instead, he asked, "When you ran tonight, what were you thinking?" Lily blinked, caught off guard by the shift. "What?" "Before you reached the building," he clarified. "Before the elevator. What was the one thought that stayed with you?" Lily hesitated, her eyes drifting slightly as she tried to recall it clearly. The rain. The footsteps behind her. The feeling of being watched closing in from every direction. And then? "I just wanted it to stop," she said quietly. "I did not care how. I just wanted everything to stop chasing me." Adrian nodded once, as if that answer confirmed something he already suspected. "And then it did," he said. Lily's gaze snapped back to him. "Because I got inside," she said quickly. "Because I found somewhere safe." Adrian's expression did not change. "Or because you reached the point where running was no longer part of the outcome," he said. Lily stared at him, the meaning slipping just out of reach but close enough to unsettle her deeply. "You are saying I was not escaping," she said slowly. You are saying I was being guided. Adrian met her gaze fully now, no distance left, no ambiguity. I am saying, he replied, that the moment you stepped into that elevator, your path stopped being random. The words hung between them, heavy and impossible to ignore. Another sharp tone echoed through the penthouse, louder this time, followed by a sudden stillness that felt different from before. Not tension. Not pressure. Something else. Final. Adrian's gaze shifted once more toward the door, but this time, there was no calculation left in it. Only certainty. They have stopped trying to get in, he said. Lily's breath caught. Why? She asked. Adrian looked back at her, his voice quieter now, but carrying more weight than ever. Because they have realized they are too late, he said. Lily's heart pounded in her chest. Too late for what? Adrian held her gaze for a long moment before answering. For you to still be just a girl running with $20, he said. Silence fell again, deeper than anything before it. And this time, Lily felt it settle not just around her, but within her. The silence did not break immediately after his words. It lingered, stretching into something heavier, something that seemed to settle deep beneath Lily's skin. Too late. The phrase echoed in her mind, repeating in a rhythm that did not match her heartbeat but somehow felt connected to it. She stood there, unmoving, her fingers curling slightly at her sides as if bracing against something she could not see. Too late for what? She asked again, softer this time, as though the answer might change if she spoke it differently. Adrian did not respond right away. Instead, he watched her with an intensity that felt different now, no longer distant observation, but something closer to recognition. Not of who she was. Of what she was becoming. For the version of you that believed this was coincidence, he said finally. Lily shook her head slowly, but the motion lacked conviction. You keep saying things like that, she whispered. Like something already changed. But I do. Not feel any different. Adrian took a step closer, stopping just short of her space, close enough that she could feel the quiet pull of his presence again. You do, he said. Lily frowned. No, I do not. You do, he repeated, his voice softer now, but carrying more weight than before. You just do not recognize it yet. Lily's breath hitched, frustration flickering beneath the fear. Then explain it to me, she said. Stop speaking in riddles and tell me what is happening. Adrian held her gaze for a long moment. Then, slowly, he lifted his hand. Not to touch her. Not yet. Just enough that the space between them seemed to narrow in a way that had nothing to do with distance. Close your eyes, he said. Lily blinked, caught off guard. What? Close them, he repeated. There was no force in his voice. No command that pushed against her will. And yet, something about the way he said it made refusal feel impossible. Lily hesitated. Then, slowly, she closed her eyes. At first, there was nothing. Just the faint sound of her own breathing. The distant hum of the building. The quiet presence of someone standing too close. Then it shifted. Not outside. Inside. A sensation she could not place, like something waking up in the space between thoughts. Her breath caught. What is that? She whispered. Adrian's voice came, low and steady. That is what they felt, he said. The sensation deepened, not painful, not overwhelming, but undeniable. Like a current running just beneath the surface of her awareness. Lily's fingers twitched slightly, her body reacting before her mind could catch up. I do not understand, she said, her voice unsteady now. Of course you do not, Adrian replied quietly. You have never had to. Lily opened her eyes suddenly, the feeling fading just enough for her to think again, but not enough to disappear. It lingered, like a memory she could not fully recall. She looked at him, something new in her expression now. Not just fear. Not just confusion. Awareness. That was not there before, she said. Adrian did not deny it. No, he said. It was not. Lily's pulse quickened again, but this time it was different. Less panic. More realization. Then what changed? She asked. Adrian's gaze did not waver. You did, he said. The words landed deeper than anything else. Lily felt them settle into the same place that strange sensation had touched, connecting in a way she could not explain. Because I came here, she asked. Adrian shook his head slightly. Because you reached the point where you could not keep running from it, he said. Lily's breath slowed, her thoughts shifting as something began to take shape. Not answers. Not yet. But the outline of something larger than what she had believed her life to be. And them? She asked, her voice quieter now. The ones outside. Adrian's expression hardened just slightly, not with concern, but with certainty. They were watching for this moment, he said. Waiting for it. Lily glanced toward the door, the memory of the tension pressing against the building still fresh in her mind. Then why did they stop? She asked. Adrian's gaze followed hers briefly before returning to her face. Because they know they cannot take you now, he said. Lily frowned. Why not? Adrian stepped closer one final time, the distance between them closing until there was nothing left but the quiet space where something unseen seemed to exist. Because you are no longer unclaimed, he said. The words hit like a quiet shock. Lily's breath caught, her heart stuttering in a way that felt unfamiliar, like it was responding to something beyond fear. Unclaimed, she repeated softly. Adrian's eyes held hers, steady, unwavering, ancient in a way that did not need explanation. The moment you stepped into this space, he said, something recognized you. Lily's chest tightened. What does that mean? Adrian did not look away. It means, he said quietly, you did not just enter my world. A pause. Just long enough for the weight of it to settle. You became part of it. Silence followed. Not empty. Not uncertain. But full of something that had already begun to change everything. And this time, Lily did not try to deny it. She felt it. The space between them did not feel like space anymore. It felt like something alive, something aware, something that had been waiting long before Lily ever stepped into that elevator. She did not move away this time. She could not. Not because he stopped her, but because something inside her no longer wanted to run. Part of it, she repeated softly, the words unfamiliar on her tongue, yet strangely certain. Her fingers relaxed at her sides, the tension she had been holding onto since the moment she ran beginning to unravel, thread by thread. Adrian watched her closely, not with control, not with dominance, but with a quiet intensity that suggested this moment mattered more than anything that had happened before it. You feel it now, he said. It was not a question. Lily nodded slowly. I do not know what it is, she admitted. But it is there. Her hand lifted slightly, pressing against her chest as if she could physically locate the source of it. It is not fear, she added, almost surprised by her own realization. Adrian's gaze softened by a fraction, something ancient and unreadable shifting behind his eyes. No, he said quietly. It is not. Silence settled again, but this time it was different. Not heavy. Not suffocating. It felt anchored. Like the room itself had found its center. Lily looked toward the massive glass wall once more, the city stretching endlessly beyond it. For the first time since she arrived, it felt distant. Smaller. Like it belonged to a different version of her life. They are still out there, she said after a moment, her voice steady now. Adrian followed her gaze briefly, then returned his attention to her. Yes, he said. Lily turned back to him. And they will not leave, she added. It was not fear. It was understanding. Adrian nodded once. No, he confirmed. They will wait. Lily's brow furrowed slightly. For what? Adrian held her gaze, his answer coming without hesitation. For you to step outside of this space again, he said. The implication settled instantly. Lily looked down at her hands, then back up at him. So if I leave, Adrian did not let her finish. They will try again, he said. Lily exhaled slowly, the last illusion of her old life slipping further away. And if I stay? She asked. Adrian's expression did not change, but something in the room seemed to respond to the question itself. Then they cannot touch you, he said. The answer was simple. Final. Lily nodded once, absorbing it. The choice did not feel like a choice. Not anymore. Another quiet hum passed through the building, softer now, stabilizing, as if whatever had been pushing against it had finally stopped. The tension that had filled the air earlier was gone, replaced by something else. Something settled. Adrian stepped slightly to the side, no longer blocking her path, no longer placing himself between her and the door. The gesture was subtle, but it carried meaning. Lily noticed. She looked at the open space. The distance. The exit. For a moment, the old instinct flickered. Run. Leave. Find something familiar. But it faded just as quickly as it came. Because familiar no longer felt real. Not after this. Not after him. She looked back at Adrian, her expression clearer now, steadier. This place, she said slowly. It is not just your home, is it? Adrian did not answer immediately. Then, with quiet certainty, he said, no. Lily's breath slowed, her thoughts aligning in a way they had not before. It is where everything connects, she said. Not a question. Adrian inclined his head slightly. Yes. Lily nodded once, as if something inside her had finally locked into place. She took a small step forward, closing the distance between them on her own this time. No hesitation. No fear. Then I am not here by accident, she said. Adrian's gaze held hers, steady and unyielding. No, he said again. The word felt different now. Not unsettling. Not confusing. Certain. Lily glanced once more toward the city beyond the glass, then back at him. And you knew that the moment you saw me, she added. Adrian did not deny it. I knew something had already begun, he said. Lily studied him for a second longer, then let out a quiet breath. So what happens now? She asked. Adrian did not look away. The room seemed to still around his answer, as if even the building itself was listening. Now, he said, his voice low, carrying that same quiet authority that had filled the space from the beginning, you stop running. A pause. Then softer, but far more powerful. And you learn why the world followed you here. The word settled into the silence, not as a warning, not as a threat, but as something inevitable. Lily did not look at the door again. She did not think about the streets, or the rain, or the $20 that had once been everything she had. Because none of it mattered anymore. She stood there, in a place she should never have reached, beside someone she should never have met, feeling something she could no longer deny. And for the first time in her life, she did not feel lost. She felt found.